Hello, dear students from all over Egypt. Welcome to today's session. With you today, Ms. Safa Hassoub, and inshallah, we will continue the revision for your ICT book and Choreo platform. السلام عليكم أولادنا الغاليين في كل مكان، معاكم وفاء حسوب، والنهارده إن شاء الله هنكمل سلسلة المراجعات اللي احنا بنعملها على منصة كوريو، وكمان بنعملها على الكتاب الخاص بالبرمجة والذكاء الاصطناعي. Today, inshallah, we will continue with chapter 2 with the first lesson, personal information revision. So, have you studied personal information? Well, be with me to revise it. Starting with the MCQ question. What's personal information? When you study what we call personal information, is it only names and addresses? Data identifying a natural person directly or indirectly? Company policies only or public health records? Well, from its word personal information, it's data identifying a natural person directly or indirectly. So anything that identifies any data for a person, okay, whether it's directly or indirectly, we call it personal information. So it's data identifying a natural person directly or indirectly. Well, fill in the gap. Examples: name, address, date of birth, phone number, and national ID. So, what we call this, or what we miss here? So, it's gender. These are part of the personal information, like name, address, date of birth, phone number, gender, and national ID. We call all of them personal information. Okay, a WH question. What are the 4 basic items of personal information? Well, we know that personal information has 4 basic items. So, what are they? Well, their name, your name, and the place you live in, okay, the address, and date of birth, and your gender, whether you are male or female. True or false? Passport numbers are personal identification codes. Is it correct or false? Well, they are correct because really they identify, okay, your personal identification codes. Okay, an MCQ question. What requires special care? What's the thing that requires special care? Is it phone numbers, race, medical history, criminal records, gender only, or driving license? Well, the things that require special care is your race, your medical history, and of course your criminal record if you have one. Now, fill in the gap. What on the protection of personal information law for proper handling? So, it's the Act on the Protection of Personal Information law for proper handling. A WH question. When can personal info be shared without consent? Well, based on laws, national security, life protection, government cooperation, or public health or children. So you can share personal information, okay? If the laws, okay, allow you to publish it. If the national security allowed you to do that, okay, if the life protection ended, and if the government cooperation, okay, didn't need anything or didn't require a thing from you, and of course, if it doesn't harm you or harm anyone else. Well, with true or false question. So, personal information can never be shared with third parties. Correct or false? Is it correct or false that we can't ever share our personal information with other people? Correct or false? Sure, it's false. Why? Because we can publish it. We can share it through social media, through mobile phones, and so on. So it can be shared. Okay. Well, this is a matching question. So we brought you here, okay, spaces, and we want you to put the correct answers or choose the correct answer for each one of these spaces. So from A to F, match expectations or exceptions for sharing personal information. Well, the Act allows sharing without consent when based on what, protecting what, and cooperating with, and public what exactly? Well, so laws, regulation, national local government, health, children development, national security, or life, body, property. So which one we will put here or there or here? Okay, so based on laws and regulations and protecting life, body, and property, cooperating with national local governments, and of course, public health or children development. Now we have MCQ question. So, right to privacy protects info individuals don't want shared publicly, others to know, government to see, or companies to store. Well, of course, it's we don't want others to know. That's why we protect our privacy. We don't others to violate it. We want to protect our personal information, our experiences, our things. Fill in the gap. Image rights prevent unauthorized use of one's face or appearance without their consent, okay, without their permission. You are not allowed, okay, to use one's face or appearance. Now we have MCQ question. So privacy policy stipulates how companies manage public data, personal information, government records, criminal files. Well, it manage, of course, personal information. Fill in the gap. Companies get license from Personal Data Protection Center. So it's Personal Data Protection Center. An MCQ question. National ID and passport numbers. Both of them equal. Four basic items. Personal identification codes. Special care info or privacy policies. So, national ID and passport numbers, we call them personal identification codes. Fill in the gap. Special care required info includes race and criminal records. So, medical history and criminal record. So, special care required info includes race, medical history, and criminal record. Fill in the gap. Personal information identifies person directly or indirectly. So, personal information identifies person directly or indirectly. MCQ question. Act on protection of personal information, perhaps sharing without government approval, individual's consent, company policy, or court order. Well, it's without individual's consent, of course, without their permission. A WH question. What protects against unauthorized photos of appearance? So what protects? It's image rights. They protect, okay, against unauthorized photos or appearance of appearance. True or false? Publicity rights protect celebrities, economic likeness, interest. Correct or false? So we spoke about publicity rights before. So is it correct? Great. It's correct, of course. They protect their privacy from people to share their information, to share their photos, and so on. Well, it's a matching question in blanks. So from A to F, match exceptions for sharing personal information. Personal information sharing without consent when protecting based on public and cooperating with, and the words are laws, regulation, national security, health or children development, life, body and property, and national local governments. Well, protecting life and body and property. So these are the things that we protect. So protecting life, body, or property. Based on laws, they are the protector for us. So based on laws or regulations. And public, well, it's public health or public children development. And cooperating with national or local government. So we cooperate with them to protect others. An MCQ question. So, Personal Data Protection Center issues privacy policies, license for compliance, for basic items, or image rights. And of course, it's license for compliance. What question or a WH question? What's objection system? What's objection system? What we call it? Well, service continues until user requests discontinuation. So we ask them to stop continuing with us. This is objection system. Okay, true or false? Name, address, DOB, or gender. DOB, date of birth, date of birth, or gender. They are the four basic items. So, is it correct or false? And it's correct, as we already seen before. Well, MCQ question. So, special care info prevents prejudice and disadvantages, phone calls, public sharing, government access. Well, of course, they prevent prejudice and disadvantages. Fill in the gap. Right to privacy equals protecting information one doesn't want others to, of course, to know. We don't want others to know them. That's why we protect it. A WH question. When it's sharing personal information allowed for public health? So when we can share personal information, well, when specially necessary for public health or healthy children development. True or false? Prior approval requires consent before data collection or service. Is correct or false? Well, of course, we need to take the approval first. So it's correct. An MCQ question. Psychological health, economic identity, data identifies companies, natural persons, governments, or celebrities only. Well, they protect natural people. Fill in the gap. So, what we call rights, okay, what rights prevent unauthorized face appearance use. So, we call it image rights. Image rights. It's related to face and appearance. A WH question. What law governs personal info handling? So the law that control, okay, personal info, we call it Act on the Protection of Personal Information. True or false? Personal information can be linked with other data for identification. Is it correct or false? Well, it's correct, of course, because, okay, we can link our personal information with data for identification, to identify our personal information. Well, in government, at schools, at hospitals, and so on. An MCQ question, which requires careful handling. Phone numbers, creed or social status, national ID only, or gender alone? Well, the things that require careful handling, of course, it's creed or social status. Fill in the gap. Companies need from Personal Data Protection Center. So, companies need license from Personal Data Protection Center. They want the license to approve their information or their personal data, whether to use it or not to use it. So companies need the license from Personal Data Protection Center. So remember that it's the Personal Data Protection Center. A WH question. What are examples of personal identification codes? Well, it's passport, driver's license, and national ID numbers. So all of them, okay, are examples of personal identification codes. So when you see it at your exam, know that we call them personal identification codes. True or false? Privacy policy equals how organization manage personal information. Is it correct or false? And well done, it's correct, of course, because we know that privacy policy means or it shows how organization manage our personal information. An MCQ question. 4 basic items include passport numbers, date of birth, medical history, criminal record. Well, the 4 basic items includes your date of birth. So the 4 basic items, remember. Fill in the gap. Publicity rights protect celebrities' economic interests in their likeness. So publicity rights protect celebrities' economic interests in their likeness. Well, it's a matching question. So from A to F, match exceptions for sharing personal information. So sharing without consent when? What? Security or public interest? Protecting what? What with governments and public health or children? We explained them before. So the choices are national, life body property, cooperation, development, laws and regulations, national or local governments. So number one is gonna be, or letter A here is gonna be natural security. Okay, so sorry, national security or public interest, protecting life or body or property. So these are the things that we need to protect. What with governments? It's of course cooperation, to cooperate with governments, okay, and public health, children development. So we protect all of these. An MCQ question. Cannot provide personal information to third party without company license, individual consent, court precedent, or privacy policy. And the correct answer is individual consent. Fill in the gap. Prior approval system, no service without prior consent means to approve or to say that you do or you agree to something. So it's a prior. Prior means preceding. Approval system. A WH question. How are privacy, image, publicity rights established? Well, how do we establish all of this? It's through court precedents, of course. Okay, not specific laws. True or false? Objection system stops service immediately. Correct or false? Well, it's false. Objection system, okay, it doesn't stop service immediately. An MCQ question. Which identifies indirectly with other data? Public info only, personal information, company policies, or government records. And the thing that identifies indirectly with other data is personal information. Fill in the gap. Act, practice sharing personal info without consent. A WH question. What prevents unauthorized commercial use of celebrity likeness? It's publicity rights. It prevents the other people or other people from doing anything or using anything that relates to celebrities without their consent. True or false? National security allows sharing without consent. Correct or false? It's correct. National security allows sharing without consent. Phone number, passport, they are all equal. The four basic items, personal info examples, special care only, privacy policies. So, your phone number and your password, they are examples of personal information. Fill in the gap. What to privacy? Info others or information others shouldn't know. So, it's right to privacy. It's your right, okay, to have your own privacy. A WH question. So, what system continues until user objects? It's objection system. Objection system. True or false? Government cooperation exception exists for personal information sharing. And it's correct, of course. Well, that was the end for today's revision for Chapter 2, the first lesson of it. Hope you enjoyed it and learned much, inshallah. Wait for more revisions from me. All best wishes. Thank you and goodbye.